Zhao Lusi ends her contract and the agency collapses. The untold truth behind the crisis and why Leo Wu smiled. What happens when the brightest star of a generation walks out of the very agency that built her, and what kind of power does one actress hold when her departure sends $1 million company into freefall overnight? The answer begins with a single decision. A signature. A silent goodbye. And a storm that no one inside the industry saw coming. Hold on tight, C-Drama family. The world of your favorite celebrities is unfolding before your eyes, and every moment is more breathtaking than the last. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now, because trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. For years, Zhao Lusi stood at the center of the agency's empire. Critics called her the golden thread that held the company together, the girl whose face, presence, and name turned every project into a guaranteed success. She did not just elevate productions. She reshaped the financial health of the agency. She was the contract every executive bragged about behind closed doors. But beneath that glittering success, a quiet fracture had already begun. The truth is, the tension had been building for months. Production delays. Contract disputes. Creative control disagreements. Board meetings where her name was whispered more like a warning than a triumph. She was becoming too powerful for them. Too influential. Too independent. And the agency, already unstable from internal disagreements and mismanagement, relied on her more than they dared admit. Then it happened. The message was sent. The papers were filed. Zhao Lusi was officially done. It felt like a small earthquake. First silent. Then the aftershocks. Within hours of the announcement, the agency's stock value dipped. Brand partners pulled meetings. Advertisers hesitated. Major dramas scheduled for the next 2 years collapsed in negotiation rooms. Fans flooded the internet with questions, theories, anger. And the agency itself scrambled for statements, excuses, anything that sounded stable. But nothing was stable anymore. Behind the scenes, employees spoke of panic. Managers locked in emergency meetings. Senior executives arguing about who should take responsibility. Directors questioning how the company had allowed their most valuable asset to walk away. She had been the bridge to every major platform, every investor, every production house. And now the bridge was gone. Soon, industry insiders began saying what no one wanted to admit. Zhao Lusi had not just left. She had taken the future of the agency with her. But one person watched it all unfold with a familiar, almost quiet pride. Leo Wu. Their relationship had always been complicated. Two young stars rising at the same time. Their names often placed side by side on trending lists. Rumored rivalry. Rumored affection. Rumored tension. Rumored respect. The public never truly knew what lived between them because both of them learned early how to guard the parts of their lives that mattered. But those close to the industry remember one thing. Years ago, Leo Wu had faced a similar situation with a former agency. A moment when he, too, walked away from a contract that no longer aligned with his future. It had been risky. It had been brutal. It had nearly cost him his career. But he survived. He rebuilt. And he emerged stronger. So when news broke that Zhao Lusi had done the same, he understood something the public did not. This was not the fall of an actress. This was the rise of a woman taking control of her own destiny. His reaction was subtle. A smile during an interview. A single sentence that sent the press into a frenzy. She made the right decision. He did not elaborate. He did not explain. But the meaning echoed across the industry. Because sometimes pride is not about competition. Sometimes it comes from watching someone you respect break free from the same chains you once wore. Sometimes it comes from knowing that survival is possible, even when the world thinks you are going to fall. Meanwhile, Zhao Lusi remained silent. No interviews. No press conferences. No public explanation. And that silence became its own kind of power. Agencies whispered. Directors reached out. Streaming platforms waited in the shadows, ready with new offers. Everyone wanted to know where she would go next. Who would sign her? Who would dare carry the weight of her career now that she was free? But what no one realized was that this freedom had been years in the making. Her closest circle spoke softly of her late-night worries. Her desire to choose roles that mattered to her soul. Her frustration at being boxed into decisions she did not agree with. Her exhaustion from carrying the agency's pressure on her shoulders. The contract ending was not an escape. It was an evolution. Still, as the agency descended into chaos, one truth grew louder. Their downfall was not caused by her leaving. It was caused by their dependence on her. A system built on one person can never stand without them. Day by day, the cracks widened. Investors withdrew support. Rival agencies took advantage. Scripts meant for the next 2 years were cancelled or handed to other stars. The agency tried to appear strong, but insiders confirmed that a full internal restructuring was underway. Dozens of employees were quietly let go. Longtime partnerships dissolved. And for the first time in a decade, the company publicly admitted financial strain. Industry watchers began calling it the Zhao Lusi effect. And Leo Wu, watching everything unfold, continued to stand by his quiet belief that she was not falling. She was leveling up. Weeks later, when Zhao Lusi finally made her first post after the contract termination, the industry froze. It was not long. It was not dramatic. It was simply a reflection of her new beginning. A message of gratitude, growth, and readiness for what came next. It was the kind of message only someone who had survived the storm could write. And Leo Wu, seeing it, responded with a simple sign of support. Nothing grand. Nothing loud. But just enough that fans understood. This was not rivalry. This was respect. Two stars who had grown in the same industry, fought the same battles, and learned the same truths about freedom and power. And in the end, one of them had watched the other rise and felt proud instead of threatened. As for the agency, their crisis deepened. Their attempts to sign a new top actress failed. Their remaining artists sought legal advice about their own contracts. And whispers grew that the company might soon be taken over or merged. The collapse was not fast. But it was inevitable. Because the departure of Zhao Lusi had exposed something fragile at the heart of the system. A company that relied on one star to survive was already doomed long before she walked away. And Zhao Lusi, stepping into a new era of her life, became the symbol of that truth. Her story became a lesson to the industry. Freedom is expensive. Power is dangerous. But the courage to choose your own path can change everything. And somewhere, away from the noise and chaos, Leo Wu knew she had done something extraordinary. She had taken her future back. And that was something to be proud of. But the real story did not begin with the agency's collapse. It began with what happened in the weeks that followed. Because while the company was desperately trying to stay afloat, Zhao Lusi's world was changing in ways few could see. In the silence she maintained, opportunities moved toward her in quiet waves. Major platforms. International studios. Independent directors with scripts crafted for her alone. Negotiations were taking place in rooms far from the noise, places where intuition mattered more than image. And for the first time in years, she had the freedom to choose without being controlled. Yet the world outside saw only the aftermath. The panic. The crash. The headlines that called the agency's decline the most dramatic fall of the decade. Inside the agency building, the atmosphere shifted from trembling to desperation. Senior managers tried to convince shareholders that everything was under control. They issued statements about restructuring. They promised new partnerships. They even announced a new talent search to find their next rising star. But the industry had already made its judgment. Without Zhao Lusi, the agency had no anchor. No guaranteed hit. No magnetic force that attracted brands, producers, and investors. And the truth became impossible to hide. One by one, ongoing dramas associated with the company faced complications. Actors refused to sign until the agency could prove financial stability. Production teams hesitated to continue shooting without assurance that their budgets would be covered. Broadcast networks demanded renegotiations. Every corner of the business felt the loss. Meanwhile, Zhao Lusi kept moving quietly. She traveled. She met with directors she had long admired. She attended private readings for scripts she could never have accepted under her previous contract. Her circle described her during this time as focused, calm, and sharper than ever. A woman who had shed a weight she had carried for too long. But somewhere else, another story was unfolding.